everyone. Welcome to the One More Thing podcast. Today I'm joined with Troy.
Hey.
I was very specific to not call you doctor.
It's good. Troy's good.
So this week was it was a standalone series on gratitude. It's obviously the perfect time of year to do that. Coming into Thanksgiving, it's always a great reminder to be grateful for the things that you do have in life. And I loved the line that you said, your reality is someone else's goal. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it tied into sort of the heart of the sermon, which was like the levels of thankfulness, right? And that our life is someone else's goal. Like there's someone striving to be where we are at the current moment, regardless of where our position is. And so the idea behind that is be thankful for where you are. You may not be where you want to be, but there's someone who is striving to be where you are, and you need to be thankful for that. And it's just to create sort of, an awareness of remembrance that, hey, look, man, keep pushing, keep going, but be thankful for where you are and where you made it from. And that was really the idea behind that line, is just to remind people, someone wants to be where you are.
Yeah.
And, dude, I drive home after work and I see people, at the stop signs. I took my families in town this week and we went to O'Leary's yesterday to just grab some lunch. And, I made sure that my kids saw. There was just a homeless guy, man, just sitting there with a sign. And, I pulled out like $5 that I had in my pocket, gave it to him. He was like, man, like, thank you so much. And I was like, no worries, dude. And he was like, God bless you. Like, that's someone like, he's striving, right?
Yeah.
Like he's, who knows what his story is.
Right.
And giving that $5 away seemed to be my responsibility, my ability to respond to his need. And he was very thankful, and my kids saw it. And, it brought up questions of how thankfulness is not just an awareness of what I have, but an awareness of what others don't.
Well, it's like perspective, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those important reminders, especially for us here in America, just being here, we hit the lottery. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is one of those reminders, because there's a lot of people struggling even in our country too, but for the most part, they can eat, they can find water, shelter is probably the hardest thing for them to find. But if you look at other countries, man, like, those people they're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Yeah. And it's close to home because my wife, her and her family escaped. She was born in Romania, and her father's Hungarian, her mom's Romanian, and they escaped, a communist tyrannical regime.
Right.
From utter poverty, to come here to the States. And so she has a very unique perspective. Her parents have a unique perspective. And you and I were just talking prior to the podcast of where, I grew up in Louisiana, a mom who had me at a very young age. And, dude, we lived in project housing, 7 people in a little 2-bedroom, maybe 800 square foot home. And you look back and you go, yeah, man, all of those things, they create stories of like noble stories for us to
perseverance.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who don't have that, who are striving to be in that 800 square foot apartment, who want to be in wherever you are. And so being thankful again, dude, I think that was the heart of the sermon, is like, take a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, take stock of your life and see where you are and measure it to where you've been. And I think you'll be surprised.
Well, that's probably the hardest part, right? Is to like, you're only looking forward, especially if you're like somebody that's like a high achiever that has all these goals. You're always looking towards the goal, and you forget to look behind you and like how far you've come from where you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah. The growth that has happened. It's always a great reminder. So last year, Laura and I did this talk on gratitude as well.
Oh, sweet.
And so it was nice to get the therapist's perspective on this whole idea, because this is her life. This is what she does. She's constantly working with people to kind of, there's that line, it's, you don't necessarily have to be thankful for the suffering, but you can be thankful despite or in spite of the suffering. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So and you kind of had the line, let me see if I can find it in there. Gratitude starts with the inside. Yeah. It's not the negation of a crisis, but it's how you choose to handle those external factors when they do arise.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like you're saying just ignore when you're going through suffering.
That's right.
Right. But like I have a buddy of mine he's really going through a really hard time. You know, if you were looking at his life from the outside looking in, you're like, man, I don't know how you're handling this situation right now. And he's like telling me, he's like, I'm hurting, I'm suffering. He's like, but I'm thankful for it. He's like, because I know in this suffering, I'm growing. So he's already like gone into this mindset of like, I'm going to sit in this suffering for a little bit. I'm going to sit in this pain because I know it's good for me and I need to grieve.
Right.
But I'm going to be thankful even for the suffering because of the fact that I know at the end of the day, I'll be stronger and I'll grow. And that is such a hard mindset to come to. But man, if you can achieve that, you're going to be set up for success.
That's right on,
and
dude.
it's such a happier life. And then one of the lines that we did last year was, it is not happiness that makes us grateful. It is gratefulness that makes us happy.
Yeah. I like that.
Isn't that good?
That's right on.
So I'll repeat again. It's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy.
Yeah.
And that mindset, that heart of gratitude is what will make you happy.
Yeah.
In spite of all the suffering that you'll experience in your life.
Yeah. That's that quote I did in the sermon from the author Mallory Beatty. She says, gratitude is what turns a meal, as simple as it may be, into a feast.
Yeah.
A house into a home, as simple, as it may be, and a stranger into a friend. Just having this attitude of gratitude, man. It changes perspectives. It changes your understanding of your position, and it's a beautiful thing, man. But it takes time, and not every, that's why I said, like, this sermon's for me.
Yeah.
It's for me.
Yeah.
You get to hear how I preach to myself.
Right.
And, the idea of the levels of thankfulness, I think was important. That was really impactful to a lot of people. And you could tell, like, you always gauge the audience as a communicator of like how their facial expressions are. And
Sure.
you could, if they laugh at your jokes, you can push a little further. But when I said the first point of, hey, being thankful, it's just good manners.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell people were like, how dare, what?
Yeah. I'm not a
No,
child.
yeah, no, bro. Like, that's just being polite.
Right.
Like, how, you're taught this.
Yeah.
But now it's time to elevate our level of thinking about thankfulness to being, gratitude. Having that attitude of gratitude is now I'm not only thankful for what I can see. That's easy. Now I'm thankful for what I can't see, what I don't know, and even the bit of uncertainty pain I may be experiencing. Because, like, dude, this, dude. We love to work out. The only time you change is when you're challenged.
Exactly.
And the challenge is what is ubiquitous, right? It could be pain and suffering. You could be, I think, being successful is a challenge for some people. Like, look at how some celebrities handle fame.
Right.
Like, they collapse.
Right.
Look how sports athletes who we admire handle fame. Like, most of them, when their contracts are done, they're broke in 3 years after having multi-million-dollar contracts.
Right.
That's a challenge. So challenge is not always just pain and suffering. It's also success and achievement, man.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think it even, because my mind goes to that as well. When we were preparing last year for this idea, it was like my mind kept going to monetary success, right? Or monetary happiness.
Right.
And Laura had to keep reminding me, like, no. We could be in a 500 square foot house and be happy and successful because we're in a loving relationship and we look at life through this lens of gratitude. That's what it's about, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just such an important reminder because us, especially as males, as high achieving males, like, you want to, be this major breadwinner for your family, and that's like how you measure your success in life. But it's like Laura is constantly having to remind me, like, you're a great husband.
Yep.
You're a great and loving father. You're involved with your kids. Don't forget those things.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of success happens, because even when you look at certain, like you said, like celebrities or high functioning, like business guys, very successful entrepreneurs, they have all these things. They're like, oh yeah, this guy, created this major company and he's got all these millions and millions of dollars, but what's his life look like at home?
That's right.
What's his relationship look like with his kids? And you don't want to sacrifice, you know, being successful in this area.
Yeah.
And like that pendulum shifts over too far.
Yeah.
But this mindset of gratitude and being thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't like achieve for more, right?
That's
you
right.
can't, you can always be better.
That's right.
Right. So I think that you have to kind of balance the idea of like, I'm going to be a high achiever. I'm going to constantly grow, but also be grateful for where I am and how far I've come. That's the hard balance. And I sometimes get a little off on that one.
Yeah, man. And I'm with you. I think there's a bit of humility into that too, man. So, you know, a lot of these high achieving folks will ultimately say, you know, it's me who lifted the weights. It's me who started the business. Well, dude, it doesn't take much research to look at these highly successful guys to see, no, dude, you had some help along the way.
Sure.
You know, you had someone who believed in you.
Absolutely.
You know, you have people who believe in your product. It's not a solipsistic, isolated, monolithic success. And I think being gracious and having gratitude, thankfulness, that's a mature type of thankful thinking, is knowing that and admitting that, you know, instead of taking all the glory for oneself. It's like, no, I had some help, bro.
Right.
So like, that's why I'm always, you know, when I have the opportunity to preach and teach, I always thank the band and the production guys. 'Cause like, dude, it makes my job that much easier that it's so set up for us. And, you know, I hope I do that, you know, regularly.
You do.
You know,
you do. It was just even cool to like see you this weekend just say, you know, being in the best freaking church in the world, you know. And that's one of the main things I tell people about you is that he loves Suncoast. Mm-hmm. He just loves it here. And that makes me happy because I love Suncoast. You know, it's like Suncoast is kind of like my kid. Yeah. You know, I've been here for 12 years. I've poured a lot of time, energy, and hard work into this place because I believe in its mission and what it's trying to do. Yeah. And so when someone comes along, I mean, you get this like as a father, like when somebody else loves your kid. Oh yeah. It makes you like them more. That's right. Right. So it's the same thing. You know, I just love that you love this place. Yeah, man. And then obviously, like you ended the sermon on a very like emotional note with coming back. You know, like talking about this idea of gratitude and gratefulness, and now we're going to, you know, view this expression of worship as like this, our time to be grateful for where we are and what we're doing, and grateful to God. And man, I looked out and I couldn't hold it together. I started crying both services, you know, singing that song, but like just seeing people cry makes me cry. Yeah. It's kind of a thing. So just looking out and seeing all those people, just tears running down their face. I just think it was really impactful. You know, some of the people that I talked to after service were like, people were leaving being like, that was one of the best services I've ever experienced. I got a lot of that too, man. Yeah. You know, closing that sermon with that story of Jesus and that one leper, you know, when you read that in its Greek iteration, I mean, we miss it, you know, we miss it. And I had quite a few people say, man, I've read that story 10 times. And thank you for showing me that. And, you know, and again, I go, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know if it was a literal, like, this is what happened. Yeah. But I said, the point is, like, how I interpret this is that there is the possibility of full restoration and healing of your life in coordinates with how I praise God, even in the struggle, even in the challenge, even in the success. And when you go and you say something like, praise is necessary not for God. God doesn't need it. Right. We do, because it creates that sense of remembrance and awareness. And that's why that song, I think, hit harder for people. You know, we use these words real loosely, like powerful or whatever. But I think that was a powerful moment for people to say, you know, when I said something along the lines of like seeing a leaf fall. Yeah. And the praise in my mind is not, oh, this is a natural, you know, phenomena of fall and leaves shedding, but like that leaf is dancing before God. Like that struck, like there were 3 or 4 people who said, dude, that hit me in a way. I was like, now I'm going to look at everything differently as giving its due praise to God. Yeah. Because we think praise is just like this. Yeah. I surrender to God. I'm just so lowly. I'm so worthless. No, dude. No. Yeah. No. Praise is like, dang, you're freaking awesome. And you made me. I must be awesome. So let's be awesome in existence together. Well, and the rocks do it.
the ocean does it, the leaves do it, so will I. And when we do that, man, like, and that's when I got emotional when I came back, when I said, when that praise happens, 100 billion failures disappear.
That's my favorite
Dude,
line.
I just ripped, like, that's when I saw, like, people say true. Like, that's a truth that transcends even the Bible. Like, that's not in the Bible anyway. There's no chapter and verse, but that's a truth that you can bet your money on, dude.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think one of the things that has come out of just our upbringing in church is this idea that God requires worship to appease him. Like, it's a requirement. Like, when you grow up here and, like, when we get to heaven, you're just going to praise God 24/7. I'm like, 24/7? That's it? That's all we're going to do? Are we going to eat? Like, are we going to play football? Like, are there other things that we're going to do? And so it was like that idea was just so unappealing. But as you mature in your faith and you realize, like, I'm not doing this for God.
That's right.
I'm doing this to kind of escape. And I really want to do a sermon series on worship, and I think we need to do it. I think that there is just so much content and rewiring and paradigm shifts that need to happen with what worship actually is. Because and I know Larry shares the same view. I know you do as well. Like, we don't see God as like this king on a throne that's like asking the peasants to come and worship him and bow down before him. It's like, what worship and even prayer is this time of reflection that you step out of yourself. You step out of your monotony in your problems, and you just say, you know what, in this moment, I'm gonna, whether this song is speaking to me or not, I'm going to turn my focus from the internal to the external. And even if it's as simple as just being grateful for where you are. I'm grateful for sitting in this row, being surrounded by people that are in my community that love me, and singing this truth together.
Yeah, man.
That's
power.
It's powerful.
That's powerful.
So I think we got to do that.
We got to do it. I'm in. Count me in, man.
But we're going to wrap up one more thing. I think we're already over time, but do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, man. I think that was good convo, bro. So
awesome. All right. Well, thank you for being on.
Always good. Thanks, man.